This month's groove comes from Aesop Rock's new record, The Impossible Kid. I'd been wanting to do an Aesop Rock tune for a while, and was looking to do one off of his last record, Skeleton, a few months ago, when I discovered that he put out Rings as a new single with an album on the way. From that point, Aesop and his label Rhymesayers Entertainment have done a great job of creating interesting online content for the album, including 4 music videos, a live take in a peculiarium, which is exactly what it sounds like.
I'm feeling kinda done, too many moving parts, the piss poor mission is 40% floaters.
A full album stream with the background video being a remake of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining in miniature.
I don't know, I gotta think about it. Truthfully, I don't know.
And a 4-part video series where he goes to a therapy session with a cartoon bear in the woods and outlines how he made the album and where the ideas came from, and how he did it because he was given the opportunity to go and leave his life for a year and live in a friend's barn. It's really cool. It's this whole idea of getting away and creating a record.
Have you ever hung out with musicians? They are the worst.
I find Aesop Rock to be one of the most interesting and compelling hip-hop artists out there. His entire catalog is great and certainly worth giving a listen to. If you like introspective artists but aren't looking for another singer-songwriter, Aesop Rock is your guy. The groove for this one can be thought of as a slow 16th beat, but I prefer to look at it as 8th note halftime. This one breaks up in a very intricate way. There are running 8th notes on the hi-hat except for the 4 of the 2nd measure and of the 4th measure, both of which become a quarter note. The rhythm 4-y-and at the end of the 1st measure, and a difference in the first 2 beats of the 2nd measure that become 1 and e-and. There are snares on all of the 3s as well on the 1-ands of the 2nd and 4th measures, and on the 4 of the 4th measure. Bass comes in as follows: 1, 2, and 4 and in the 1st measure, 2 and 4, 4 in the 2nd measure, 1, 1, 4 in the 3rd measure, and 2 and in the 4th measure. Finally, there are many little loose hi-hat inflections throughout the groove, but the one that is most prominent is a sloppy opening on count 4 of the 4th measure. This is a great groove of the month just for the duality of how broken the beat is, yet how much it does groove. It's another lesson that proves that a beat doesn't have to be built on top of an even bed of hi-hat or ride hits, and that the groove can still change and lock in.
Hard to admit that I used to draw portraiture in a human form, doodle of a 2-headed unicorn. It was soothing, moving his arm in a fusion of man-made tools and a muse from beyond. Even if it went beautifully wrong, it was tangible truth for a youth to refuse to belong. No name nuisance, who's in a bedroom, who's in a brand new cuneiform. Barely commune with the horde, got a whole grayscale ungluing his world. Might zone amp to the yap of the magpie, unseen hand dragging his graphite. Cross contour, little bit of backlight, black ink after a Bristol to baptize. You can imagine a rush that ensue when you get 3 dimensions stuffed in a 2. Then it's off to a school where it's all you can do, being trained and observed by a capable few. Back in New York by peeps and a dog in a 2-bedroom doing menial jobs, plus rhyming and stealing and being a clod. Distractions, freedom, a rod. I left some years of giving a light, I left some will the spirit away. I let my fears materialize, I let my skills deteriorate. Haunted by the thought of what I should have been, continuing a mission that was rooted in a 20-year affinity and rickety condition with an ID crisis. Snap on the front lawn, look up in the sky, it's shapes falling out of the fringe. All heart though we would've made cowardly kings. They will chop you down just to count your rings, just to count your rings, just to count your rings. And there were colors pouring out of the fringe. All heart though we would've made cowardly kings. They will chop you down just to count your rings, just to count your rings, just to count your rings. Used to paint, hard to admit that I used to paint. Natural light painted on a human face, stenciled fire on his roommate's face. It was bloom and addiction, a miss and a push and a pigment, book like a tattooed pigskin look. Pinhead kids at a minute, drank Kool-Aid from a tube of acrylic, and I grew up in a linseed oil ever linen. Joy to the poison, voice to the resin, capture a map of a gesture, back up, add a little accurate fat to the figure, redo that, move that inward, zinc white lightning shoots from his fingers, studio strewn with illusion and tinctures, stay tuned for the spooky adventures. You can imagine the stars that align when a forearm starts foreshortening right, or a torso hung on a warping spine in proportion, reads as warm and alive. Routine day with a dirt cheap brush, then a week goes by and it goes untouched, then 2, then 3, then a month, and the rest of your life to beat yourself up. I left some seasons eager to fall, I left some work to bury alive, I let my means of being dissolve, I let my person curl up and die, eating up his innards and unfeasible anxiety is brutally committed to relinquishing his privacy, aligning with the trials of the anti-Midas. Snap on the back lawn, look up in the sky, it's shapes falling out of the fringe. All heart though we would've made cowardly kings. They will chop you down just to count your rings, just to count your rings, just to count your rings. And now we're colors pouring out of the fringe. All heart though we would've made cowardly kings. They will chop you down just to count your rings, just to count your rings, just to count your rings.
There you have it. What's your favorite Aesop Rock tune? Which one of his would you choose for a Groove of the Month? In general, what would you choose for a Groove of the Month? Leave a comment below or send a tweet at Musicians Notes with the hashtag GOTM. If you like these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to take advantage of our Groove of the Month playlist on Spotify. And make sure to check out our website, musiciansnotepad.com, every Wednesday for new content. Thanks. Let's hit it.
Up his innards and unfeasible anxiety is brutally committed to relinquishing his privacy, aligning with the trials of the anti-Midas.